Good morning. I'm Dr. Teresa Frankovich, Health Officer for Humboldt County.
Good morning, Sheriff Billy Honsal.
So this morning we were going to talk a little bit about all the changes that are happening across the state. As many people know, we had started on this roadmap to recovery not too long ago. Actually, we submitted a variance to be able to navigate on local level through stage 2 mid-May. Since that time, things have progressed really rapidly, both at the state level and locally. And we wanted to take the opportunity to just walk through a little bit what all of this means. So when the governor started this, we had laid out 6 things that we needed to have in place to be able to move forward. And that included things like testing capacity, ability to conduct surveillance, ability to do contact investigations, to protect some fragile populations. All of those indicators needed to be in place for us to actually take a next step. We submitted a variance to the state in the second week of May that basically said we have met those preparedness guidelines and we would like the ability to have local control to navigate through stage 2, which were the lower risk type of entities and activities that were next in the roadmap going forward. We were granted that variance, and that Friday, I believe, we began opening retail establishments, and that process is ongoing. And then after that, we have continued to monitor our numbers, and this past Friday, we actually began with restaurant openings and have approved over 100 restaurants for opening at this time, actually most of the applications that were received to date. And so maybe we want to talk a little bit about the process we've used for places to get approved.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now we are utilizing a process through our online service, humboldtgov.org, where we have guidance from the state, and we use that guidance to assist businesses to prepare their plans, because it's a part of the state reopening that businesses have to create a plan. We've created an online service for our local businesses to conduct this and do that, and to walk through all those steps. And it really is a really painless step, and it really is a service to help the businesses prepare. There's 6,500 businesses here in Humboldt County, and we have about 1,000 businesses that have put forth a plan so far. So it is slowly happening, and we are doing our best here to keep up with those. As they submit, we're reviewing them. If they don't meet the state standards, we are working with the business owner to create, to help them create their plan that's going to be essentially approved by the state, through their standards. So we do all those approvals here. The state has given us local control, which we've asked for, and that's what we've wanted. So we have control over that, and so we're working with community groups, we're working with our businesses to make sure that they, when available, they can establish their businesses and restore faith. Because 2 things we want to happen is once businesses do open up, we want customers to feel comfortable and employees to feel comfortable coming back to a workplace that's going to prioritize their safety. And so that's what these plans do.
Yeah, I think that's been a really good step, and I think a lot of businesses have appreciated the feedback that they've gotten, because sometimes even though the guidance is there, it's hard to imagine how that guidance will look in your particular business.
Right.
And so I think having people who are looking at tons of these applications give you some feedback has been really helpful. So anyway, there we were navigating nicely through stage 2, and this past week the governor basically moved forward and said, okay, we're going to add things in stage 3 to the mix. So they provided guidance for beauty salons and barbershops that are on our platter now to be able to add to the mix locally when we're ready. And they've said that they will also be adding additional businesses going forward and additional entities from stage 3. So guidances will be provided for each of those things. For instance, nail salons. There's no guidance right now from the state and Cal OSHA about how those should operate, but those will be forthcoming. Same thing for fitness establishments. That guidance will be forthcoming. I'm sure people are aware churches, which were in services which were in stage 3, the state provided guidance for. And that is also available online right now. And we have made that move to allow churches and places of worship overall to operate within certain guidelines. I strongly encourage these groups to go online, look at the guidance, and to submit actually an application, because it's a great way to get feedback about your plan. And I know everyone is concerned about the safety of their parishioners. So when we look at those entities, the group size is one of the most important things, and that is 25% of normal capacity or 100 people, whichever is the smaller number. And so we really want people to adhere to that and all the other practices that are mentioned there so that we're safe. So in stage 3 now, I think what's important is the governor framed it this way, which is the state will tell us how we can safely open, locally we determine when. And so while these various guidances start to emerge for stage 3, it's really important for us all to remember that we're moving forward at a pace. It was never the intent of the state or locally for us to flip a light switch and open everything back to normal in one fell swoop. The reason for that is we know that each change we make has the ability to change the dynamics of the virus in our county. So things that we have added to the mix may contribute to increasing case numbers, and we need time to be able to see that impact. It can take anywhere from about 2 weeks to 12 weeks to see that change. At the beginning, I think we might have said, well, we're going to go a little bit longer in between because we've looked good, and I think people are being responsible for the most part. What we're looking at is waiting at least that 2-week interval to give us some realistic ability to look and see where our numbers are. The reason for that is if the numbers suddenly got worrisome, we need to be able to take a longer pause and catch up and quiet things down a little bit. So what we're looking at is basically we opened restaurants Friday. So over the next 2 weeks, those will be opening. And then we are basically pacing ourselves for a next opening about 2 weeks from then, assuming all the numbers look good. And the thing on deck are salons. So I know we've been getting lots of applications for those and have been reviewing those as well so that people are ready to go when we have that moment.
Yeah, and I think it's important too that the guidelines just got released on barbers and salons last week. And so businesses take this time to prepare. They can submit their plans, prepare. Next week we'll be making an announcement saying what date you were able to open up. And then again after that, there's going to be guidance like Dr. Frankovich said that's going to be coming out in the state. We expect more this week, and so we're going to be looking at those guidance to see what else we could open up in that 2-week period. But just because the guidance is put on made available through the state, through the governor's office, it doesn't mean that we can immediately open up here. I just want to just reemphasize that because there was some confusion last week when the governor made an announcement and then we're thinking all this stuff was open, but that's not the case. We now have local control, and so we are going to again slowly open up those sectors as the data allows.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was one big piece that was sort of hard to see in the messaging that came out, is that it really was just providing us that opportunity locally without determining the timeline. And so I think it's going to be important going forward to read the subtleties in some of those releases, because we have to, a lot of times we're hearing the guidance at the time it's happening. When the governor makes this announcement, we're not getting a whole lot of heads up either.
Right. So
we're watching it very carefully as well, and then trying to bring you information about how this will look going forward.
That's right. And I think it's important too that, while we're the advocates for the state, Dr. Frankovich is on a state phone call. I'm on a state phone calls as well, talking about more guidance from the state level, like when groups can start getting back together. I think Dr. Frankovich has been asking that question a lot in the state level, trying to seek guidance from the governor's office, saying, when can this happen? We're getting churches together, we're getting all this other stuff together. When's the state going to allow groups to get together? And so the community kind of needs to understand that we're advocating for this community as well, because we would like to see that. So Dr. Frankovich has been asking that question. We hopefully get some guidance this week from the state regarding that too.
Yeah, there are many ways that we think are important to move forward, and we're looking for that guidance for sure, because we want to, again, I think it becomes easier if, in general, for some of these big things, if everyone across the state understands it the same way. Going forward, I think it's a whole lot easier for all of us to do that. Again, if people have questions about how this should unfold or what it means for their business, it's a great idea to call our information center at 441-5000. There are lots of folks there who can answer those questions and direct you to the guidance that you need. And again, I guess the big heads up would be for salons and barbershops, which are sort of on deck for the next, probably for sometime next week if our numbers look good. And we'll just keep trying to move forward.
Exactly. So information is coming in daily as well. So subscribe to our news channels, our social media. Visit our website, humboldtgov.org, and again, call 441-5000 if you have any information or any requests for information, because we have it there.
Thank you.
Thank you.